SuperGP Champions Trophy is proudly brought to you by Diode and their associate sponsors.
Let's just touch on some more big news out of the Super 600s.
Yes.
The return of Suzuki. We've got two factory Suzuki bikes out there, Darian Kaiser and Blaze Baker. Blaze Baker, we know is a front runner, competed, finished on the podium a couple of times last year, now on the factory Suzuki along with Darian Kaiser, the Uncle Andy's factory Suzuki. So great to have Suzuki back in racing. Because in the Super GP, a little bit later on, we're going to see another Suzuki in AJ Fenter.
Yeah, Alan John Fenter stepping out of the Triumph stable and onto Suzuki with Uncle Andy's Racing. But also, just to keep an eye out, even though Suzuki are there, they will be competitive, but I don't think they're going to be at the front of the hunt just yet. A little bit of development to be done on that team. They've had hardly any time to get the bike sorted out, but needless to say, Darian put it into 5th and Blaze into 6th. So they're on the second row, and you'll see running almost camouflage colors there on those bikes for Uncle Andy's Racing, sorting everything out there. Adolf Boshoff, we mentioned, is the man to catch. It's basically Yamaha's at the front end there, but also another man to keep an eye on. Have a look at Darren Larea.
Yeah.
First time out for him officially in the 600cc National Championship class.
Yes.
He did spend some time sort of in and out of it last year and in and out of the Northern Regions Championship too, but concentrated on his international duties last year in the EJC or the EJC Cup.
Yes.
Now he's back and looking like he could be a threat to the championship.
Definitely, and also a big shout out to a couple of riders from Cape Town. We've got Kjuan Snyman, who we saw on the 390 Cup
Correct.
in the 250s, and Alex van der Berg. So they've made the trip all the way up from Cape Town, competing in the 600 category, and first time out actually at Red Star Raceway and running in the 201s and 202s. So great there. Janine Mitchell, we see the return of Janine Mitchell, lady rider, and Cameron Aitken, our little 250 Cup rider from last year. He's made the jump up onto the Munro Racing CBR 600.
Yep.
And look at that, running in the 2 minutes.
It's incredible.
So,
have a look at the man
watch
who
out.
won the 250 championship as well.
Yeah, Byron Bester.
Byron Bester, number 12 on the high-tech elements machine. And of course, looking forward to doing some damage on circuit now for the first time in the 600s. Number 97 in your shot there has come a long way. And of course is all the way from Zimbabwe and Bulawayo, joining Janine Mitchell, his teammate alongside there. So big welcome to Matthew Schultz. There's Cam Aitken, their teammate. So 3 Munro Hondas out there this time out. And looking forward to exactly what's going to transpire here for the first race in the 600s. A couple of riders getting out on the grid. You can see the whole grid proceedings making their way onto circuit as well. Janine Mitchell, great to have little Miss Mitch back onto a race bike. She's been spending a little bit of time doing some development and rider training with Vilmarie Janssen van Rensburg. Also a bit of stunt riding here and there. But there goes one of the Suzukis.
Darian Kaiser.
Yeah, Jazz.
It's doing a practice start. Cam Aitken doing a practice start. And there's the man to beat, Adolf Boshoff. He looks so big on that Yamaha. He really is a big frame little lighty, but what a talent. He really is such a talent and one for the future. We've got a couple of riders here for the future. Like we were talking about, Byron Bester, running in British Super Sport actually this year as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be from South Africa over to England. So Darren Larea in the EJC again. So some great things happening for South African riders, both locally and abroad.
It's super to see the doors that have been opened up by the likes of Shez Show and those type of riders.
Brad Binder, Darren Binder.
Alan John Fenter in the TT. A
Yep.
couple of riders looking at that option as well for this year. So, yeah, we've just got an array of riders. And literally, we've had it all through South Africa's history in motorsport, and particularly motorcycle racing. There's always been riders that are able to step up the game and get to the international level and give it to the best in the world. Yes, finances are always a concern, and sometimes we're not able to do it at the same level as some of the riders who come in with the big money from Repsols and the likes.
Yes.
But the cool thing about it is that we don't lack the talent.
Yeah, Stephen Oendal again, the man on second position, our reigning Super 600 champion. He'll also be riding over in Spain again in the Moto 2s. There we have him on shot now and really has competed overseas. Picked up podium finishes. Did the Argentina Moto 2 race last year in the proper World Championship, and was dicing with the likes of Alex Marquez, Louis Rossi. So this kid really can ride and has built up a real good name for himself overseas. We did an article on him in Ride Force magazine and had a girl from Spain email me. I had to send her a magazine because she's a huge Urendal fan. So that's how big it's getting. It's getting out there. This is the man we were talking about earlier, Dylan Barnard. What an amazing achievement. 4th place. Watch out for him. He can get a podium finish. And if you had said that to me beginning of last year, I would have slapped you.
Okay, I'm not going to say it to you now.
I might slap you now.
I might just give you a slap to say, listen, I kind of touted him as a possibility of getting up there, and he certainly has proved me right, as has this man, Dos Larea, stepping up for the first time officially in the 600 category, and you can see race face and focus. That's what it's all about.
And there's his dad, Armando Larrera, owner of Family Fitness Gym out in Kempton. So Doran certainly has the fitness he needs to compete in this race. Because we're talking, what, 18 laps here, Greg?
Yeah, it's going to be a long
That's
time.
a lot of racing, and it's not all down to talent, but fitness as well.
15, huh? They've changed it slightly. 15 laps for the 600s, 18s for the big boys.
15 laps is still
a long
time around this.
No, it's not that long.
Well, you would know. You've done 260 laps
exactly.
by yourself.
It's not that long. But at this pace, it is. There's no doubt about it. You know, I'm running at least 40-50% less than what these guys are doing. There's Blaze Baker and Natal Boy, of course, loving life and just getting in a little bit extra punch.
There's not K-Tech in that bottle.
Definitely not, yeah. But certainly helping out there and part of Uncle Andy's Suzuki squad. We're in for a really, really great
It's Dion Nelson on one of the triumphs. He'll be joined by Nicole
Northern Regions rider who stepped up.
Right,
there you go. That's exactly what we need to do.
Byron Bester. Really, what a sticker he's got on the front of the helmet.
That's
there.
quite a nice sticker, eh?
Yeah, very nice.
The one thing I've got to say is he's got two nice Broly babes there. Mark McGregor looks pretty good, I must tell you, with a Broly in his hand.
Nicole van Asvegen.
And check who's helping her out.
Stewie McLeod.
2000 South African Superbike champion, Stuart McLeod. The Mac Attack back on a grid. Great to see that.
I've beaten him a couple of times now.
I did as well. Hey. No, on a mountain bike I beat him, not on a motorcycle.
Cam Aiken.
Yeah, Cam Aiken. And see Leroy Rich giving him a little bit of final advice there to make sure that he goes as quick as he can to get to the front end. This is such a good field of riders here. It really is.
Well, next up is the first of our Cape Town riders, Kewan Snyman, and we saw the pace this guy had on a RC390 and a 250 cup bike. Stepped onto the 600s, and I've seen some of the testing he's been doing at his local track in Killarney. Watch out for this guy when we get to Killarney. And the guy next to him, Alex van der Berg, also come all the way up from Cape Town. So big shout out to those guys.
Yeah, well done. And the Cape Town Massive will probably be shouting their brains out when we get down there, because there's a lot of guys and a lot of following for these youngsters, particularly when they get into national championship level riding. We've seen it, how it grows, you know, from when you start things out on a 250 and into a 600, and then eventually get to the caliber of the Red Baron and Sir Lancelot. That's the kind of support
see later.
Exactly you can get down in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Behind them, of course, will be David van der Linden, Janine Mitchell we mentioned, and of course Matthew Schultz. Also still getting to grips with the circuit. It's the first time he's been here riding this way around. Last year he came and did a couple of the regionals and a couple of the Thunderbike events, but ran the other way around. Of course, the circuit changes in July, and we go back to clockwise, of course, which is a lot of riders prefer it the other way around. I've actually got an affinity of running it this way, having done the 4 and 8 hour this way. It's a lot easier on the body on an endurance race, but of course, we're not talking endurance, we're talking sprint races here. So it doesn't really come into play today in terms of your ability to hang on to a bike for that much longer, but you've still got to hang on for 15 laps.
One thing that is going to come into play, Greg, is tires. Now remember, they're all on the same Pirelli tires, same compound, same everything. And as far as I know, they cannot change between races. So they're going to be on the same tires. So tire management, a key here, as well as body management. You cannot go out there and race flat out for 15 laps. Your fitness will come into play. You're going to take some strain. So you've really got to play it. Adolf Boshoff, Stephen Undal, if we look at the qualifying, are definitely the men to beat. A couple of seconds quicker than that man in third place, Darren Larrera. So I think we're going to see the two of them out front on the Yamahas, but there's going to be a good mid-pack dice.
And the mid-pack, I think, is what we're going to be looking at.
They get a warm-up lap.
This is a little warm-up lap, of course. You did mention the fact that they get one set of tires for the races, and of course that's race 1 and race 2, so keep an eye out on that tire management. In the 1000 cc's, of course, they get an extra set of tires, so they are able to run one for qualifying. They don't really do too much damage to the front tire, but it's the rear tire that takes the strain. So they've got 3 tires to do qualifying, first race and second race on. So let's see what the change-ups in terms of tires are. Remember, Pirelli rubber being the official rubber for the Diode SuperGP Champions Trophy. Down the Portable Shade N12 Highway and down into Discover Digital and the Diode Dogbone.
A couple of guys missing from this year is Michael White, stepped up to Super GP this year on a Yamaha R1. He finished, I think, second in the championship last year, just behind Stephen Undal again. Adolf Boshoff, that's why he's running the number 3 on his bike. Won a lot of races last year, but made a lot of mistakes as well. So now in the Anastas camp with Brad Anastas and Clinton Seller in his corner, saying to him, listen, just calm it down a bit. You've got the pace, but you need to win championships, you need to win races. No one knows that more than Clint Seller and Brad Anastas. So watch. It's almost the perfect combination in many ways. So the likes of Oudendal, who's gone private this year, Yamaha have given him a bike, no big fancy team, Stephen Oudendal running himself this year. So a lot of work to do for Oudendal to try and beat. He knows how good that Neo Life R6 is because he won the championship on it last year.
The Petra Racing Yamaha R6 he'll be on this year. being helped out, of course, for a long, long time by Mitsubishi Air Conditioning, of course, one of his dad's big companies. So great to see the backing coming from his long-time sponsors when he lost the official factory ride.
Yep.
I would still consider him a factory rider in Yamaha's eyes, though.
Yes.
Might not be sort of the full factory deal, but he's definitely been given the bike. He's got the opportunity, and support is there from Yamaha, should he be at the front end where he is right now. So keep an eye on that one. It is kind of a battle between Kawasaki and Yamaha, but as you mentioned, Rob, great to have another manufacturer in the hunt with Suzuki coming through. And I think not particularly at this round, but when we get to Pakisa, I know how good a Suzuki is around Pakisa, because in the past, when we ran South African Motorcycle Championship as opposed to the SuperGP Champions Trophy, Pooch, Stephen Odendaal, was on his own privateer Suzuki and was untouchable there.
As well as Darren Binder.
And Binder as well, yes.
So, but yeah, it's great to have them back. It's all about the start here, though. Really, you've got to get the start here. And it's up to the likes of Darren Lerero, Dylan Barnard, and the two Suzuki boys to try and mix it up with the Yamaha guys straight from the word go. If they can do that, they're in with a shot. If the two Yamaha guys get any kind of air, any kind of gap, they are out of here. So the green flag is up, and the lights are on for the first Super 600 race of 2016.
So I think that was the 5-second board. The lights go on, and away we go. What a start from Darian Kaiser. He got off the line nicely, as did Blaze Baker, but it is Pooch, the pocket rocket, getting up into the inside. What a start from Darren Arroyo.
Look at
into
that.
second. Nicole van Aswierken as well.
Is up into, that's 5th position. That's Darren Lerero in second. Woodendal is out front. Adolf Bosov there is in 3rd place. He's going to use the slipstream of Darren Lerero down the back straight, because he's going to want to do it on the brakes and get after Stephen Woodendal. He does not want Woodendal getting any kind of gap. There we go. Bosov up into second. Blaze Baker makes the move on Nicole van Aswierken up into 4th or 5th place there. So good start for the Yamaha guys at the moment. Darren Lerero is going to do everything he can to try and stick with him out front.
Blaze Baker just sneaking through there on an incredible move from Nicole van Aswierken from 9th place. Oh, a little bit of running wide there. That looked like it might have been Dion Nelson. Didn't quite get it right coming into the second part of the dog bone, but has certainly cost himself some time. Right through, just having a pickup and seeing who we're dealing with there. That's Dylan Barnard, Nicole van Aswierken.
That's the two triumphs
of
Nelson and...
Sure, Nelson right there. He ran wide, and there's another man who ran wide. That is Darian Kaiser. Also running wide, trying to get past on Nicole van Aswierken.
Oh, that really has put an end to his race right at the back of the field now. But his teammate, Blaze Baker, look at that, challenging Darren Herrera now for 3rd place. That'll be an amazing achievement for Uncle Andy's Racing Suzuki, who, like you said, literally have put that bike on the track yesterday. Did a little bit of testing last week, but not much, and running for podium already. But Nicole van Aswierken, great start. But she's got Nelson, and now that looks like Byron Bester right on her tail.
Yeah, Byron Best is certainly going to be in the hunt. He wants to try and get up and onto pace as quickly as possible. Dion Nelson is right there. Then you've got first of the Munro bikes will be Cam Aitken. Behind Cam Aitken, they start Van den Berg and Snyman. Both of them right there, the Cape Town guys, giving it everything they can. Then we go back. Is that's Matthew Schultz, I think. Here.
And Janine Mitchell.
No, Janine Mitchell first, then Schultz there. So Janine Mitchell with a good start too. Lady riders, 2 of them in the 600 class. There's the Cape Town boys as crossing the line. It's Pooch.
Woodendal was...
What a line, hey?
Over the white line, almost on the grass. What are you doing?
That's one way to go into turn 1, portable shade chicane. Into that chicane now, onto the portable shade, N12 highway, and Yamaha versus Yamaha. I don't think there's going to be much in terms of the top end of these two bikes. They'll be very evenly matched.
Borshoff is last of the late breakers. Pooch gets a little bit sideways down the back straight there. But he's got that number 1 plate on, and he's got it because he is the fastest rider in this class at the moment. But Adolf Borshoff, I spoke to him earlier, he wants that title. He wanted it last year, unfortunately made some. Look at this, Blaze Baker up into 3rd place on the Uncle Andy Suzuki. So Suzuki and Uncle Andy will be really happy with that. Darren Herrera right on his tail, so he'll stick there. And I know Darren Herrera, he likes to follow. He doesn't like to lead. We saw him looking back already. So Darren Herrera will stick there. He'll be in the perfect situation. A little bit wide there from Baker. Darren Herrera slightly tighter there. But Lorero won't be fussed by that. He'll just stick there and try and follow him through. Dylan Barnard just behind them.
Yeah, just moving away from Van Aswierken and Nelson. Rider down there by the looks of things, just on the switchback on the camera. I'm sure we'll pick up who that rider was as he went down on the follow-through on our shot. But as you said, Blaze Baker now opening up a little bit of a margin, but spot on in terms of your analogy there. There's no doubt that Lorero doesn't like to lead. He likes to follow. He'll hang tight until a little bit later on in this race. We're only on to the second lap of 15. We've got 13 and 3 corners still to go. And all of a sudden, the two Yamahas now right there.
Look at
I can tell you, Cowboy if he has calmed down, Boshoff might just stick around and let Steven Odendaal set the pace.
Well, he can let Steven Odendaal do all the hard work. You know, he can just sit there. He knows he's not going to pass Odendaal and leave him. Odendaal's got the pace to stick behind him. So Adolf Boshoff will sit behind him, put some pressure on Odendaal, maybe make a mistake and then pounce. But for now, for him to make the pass and try and duck, he's going to use energy and he's going to use tires. So he doesn't want to do that. Let Odendaal set the pace. They've pulled away from third place Baker. They've got a gap. So leave it up. Last lap, make your move. And we know Boshoff, he can make a move in places where others, us normal human beings,
mere mortals would never even look at. Ask Alan John Fenter about that. Right, the two Yamahas pulling away from the leading Suzuki. Uncle Andy Suzuki, welcome to National Championship Racing. Stewie Baker, I know you're on the wall. You must be loving the fact that your boys are up there right from the word go. Not quite on the full race pace, but certainly on podium ceremony pace. That is for sure.
Yeah, like, we've still got Desi Raceway to go, which is Blaze Baker's home round. We saw him really compete there last year, so he'll be waiting for that. Oh, runs a little bit wide at the back section. Lorero can't quite make the move on the inside, so it's still Blaze Baker there. But look at that. Who's that? That's Dylan Barnard coming there. He's really closing down the gap now on Lorero and Baker. So Baker, we know he's got the good pace, but like you said, without not having the testing, they don't know the full 15-lap pace of that Suzuki. So this is, again, more testing time for them.
And what the Suzuki's going to do to the Pirelli rubber, that's another thing to take into account. The two triumphs just behind them of Van Arsvegen, and I would say it was Nelson. So he is tucked in right on the tailpiece. So the two 675Rs having a good run for what is 6th and 7th place on track. Then you go to Byron Bester, first time out for him. He's in 8th, and I can tell you there's nothing wrong with Byron Bester sitting in 8th place. Currently lapping in the 201 bracket. First time out on a 600, that'll do. Cam Aitken, similar situation. He's now sitting there in the 202 bracket. Aitken, of course, has spent some time on that Munro Honda, so it's not the first time out for him. He actually went up and did the hour endurance race in Bulawayo at the end of the season while we were racing the 24-hour. So he has got some time in the saddle, and it'll definitely start to pay dividend, hopefully, at the end of the race. And then first of the Cape Town boys, Kuhn Snyman, in the top 10.
That's a great ride there from Snyman to be in the top 10. Yeah, first time out, first time at the track, first national, really is good. But these two Yamahas out front, they are so confident in their riding ability and machines. They just put in those bikes wherever they want them. Adolf Boshoff sideways, but I definitely think he's doing what we're saying. He's sitting there. He hasn't tried to make a move on Odendaal yet. So definitely matured so far. And I'm sure Nassas and Seller would have said in his ear, listen, if you are behind Odendaal, let him do all the work. You've got to be, look at, as
okay.
I say that.
Yeah, commentators curse.
Never mind.
Just keep that thought for later.
Yeah,
okay.
I won't say anything more about that.
All right, the cowboy, Adolf Boshoff, putting the pressure on. But as you said earlier on in your comments, Rob, you said he might show a wheel here and there. Try and force a mistake out of Odendaal. Not an easy thing to do. No. Not from a man who is as talented as what Steven Odendaal is, particularly on a 600cc Yamaha.
100%. Well, he's proved it. That's why he's got the number 1 plate. But Boshoff, to me, it does look like he has a little bit more pace in hand at the moment, but just sticking there. The battle for third place is going to go down to the wire between Baker, Lorero, and Dylan Barnard slowly coming back into it. Van Arsvegen just lost that slight little bit of toe with Dion Nelson right on her tail. So, and then Byron Bester, like you said, great ride there. First time out, our 250 Cup champion from last year. So still a little bit of learning to do there for him. Adolf Boshoff sideways into that right-hander every time. So also tire management is going to come into play. For sure that it's cooking track temperatures out there. We wouldn't know we're in a nice air-cooled, conditioned commentary box here, but it is hot out there. So these riders are going to have to play their tires. As I say that, Steven Odendaal now goes sideways. So
it was something we picked up last year, though, Rob. The Yamaha riders tended to light the bikes up and slide into the corners as opposed to taking the normal race line that we saw. And it didn't really affect the tires that much, but it depends on what compound they're running. I think they're on SC1s this year. I stand to be corrected, but Pirelli, of course, are the official tire supplier, and it'll be the slightly harder compound tire that will take a better beating, particularly at this track. Although Red Star's not a heavy tire-wearing circuit. No. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Here comes the battle for third and across Barnard. The line, and Barnard is right there. And he's actually got through and passed Loreo.
Yeah, that's up into 4th place. So Dylan Barnard on course for a podium here, but we know Blaze Baker is not an easy man to pass, no matter what machine he's on. Like we said, still this is development stages for that Uncle Andy's Suzuki. It really is development stages. So if they can pick up that top 3, that'll be, I don't think they, if you had said to Uncle Andy before the weekend, you're going to finish 3rd, he would have
write it down. That's Pooch.
No,
that might be Pooch.
No, I don't think, who is that?
Write it down there. I'm positive it was a blue and white Yamaha. So there's a possibility it could be our leader that's out. If we can try and find the leaders. No, it's not. There he is. Fortunately, still upright. I just saw the blue and white colors.
I think that might have been.
And it was very similar.
Alex van der Berg maybe is on a blue and white bike, the man from Cape Town.
Could be Alex van den Berg that was down there. I was convinced, but of course I didn't see the yellow of Pooch's leathers. So that was a bit of a moment there for me. I thought it might have been Stephen Odendahl, our leader, that had crashed out all on his own sim. And then you've always got to ask yourself, was Adolf Bossov involved in that? Because he has been on occasion. And not to knock him in any way, he is a very hard rider. Here comes third place battle, and the Suzuki hanging on for dear life. Doran Larrea looking back to get a hand of Barnard, sneaks through and just squeezes Barnard onto the outside, but the two Kawasaki's now side by side. If he hangs onto that inside line as they flip it over on the left, he's got him and retakes it.
Oh, that was brilliant riding there from Dylan Barnard. He just railed it round the outside, and then high sides it big time coming out of the left-hander. Larrea cannot pounce on that because he had to roll off because Barnard was massive out of the seat.
Yeah, that was a big moment there for Dylan Barnard. And a change of shorts required, possibly on the 6-4. We'll have to wait and see if he pulls into pit lane for that one. And one right here with my fellow commentator. So into the final turn now. Larrea probably realized that the pressure's there. If he just keeps applying that pressure slowly but surely, Barnard might crack. But what you've got to take into account is this little battle has slowed them all down. And the two Triumphs behind are not too far off. It was 2 seconds back to Larrea on the last pass. Let's have a look and see what's changed up as they come through this time out. It's down to a second.
And those Triumphs are really good on tires. The power delivery not as harsh as on some of the four-cylinder bikes. So, yeah, watch out for those Triumphs. They really are coming thick and fast. And if these three keep doing what they're doing, like you said, that gap will come down.
So up front, 155.9 out of Odendahl. That is incredible around here. Very, very quick lap time on a 600. Only 0.3 of a second back on that, so would have put him into the 56 bracket. Would be Adolf Bossov, the Cowboy. Near Life Yamaha versus Petra Racing Yamaha. Those are the top two. This is the battle for third, and it's a good battle. The Uncle Andy Suzuki hanging on to the two Kawasaki's for now and keeping them relatively honest. But I think Barnard might have some ideas up his sleeve.
You're 100% there, Greg. Barnard definitely looks like he's got a little extra pace under that Kawasaki. So he's all over the tail now of Blaze Baker's Suzuki as we see some the next generation of racers in the crowd. Great to have everyone here. But the action on track is thick and fast. And that Suzuki's got a little bit of pace down the straights. Looks to have the same legs as the Kawasaki's just in the turns. I don't think Blaze Baker's quite got the front setup that he wants just yet on that bike. But like we said, still a lot of development to come out. And look at Barnard. He can hold a lot tighter lines, especially through this section here. That's exactly what you need. And Barnard's definitely the man on the move at the moment. And he's looking for that first national. Oh, he tried to sneak on the inside.
Man, that was close. That was extremely close. Lit the back up there coming out of turn number 10 and 11. And that could have been very interesting had it got out of shape. So I think he might just be within his rights to just ease it off ever so slightly and maybe put pressure on a bit later on. It's a long way to go still. We are only completing lap 6 of 15 for these three. So 9 laps to go for them. That's a long, long time in the saddle still. That's still a whole race of our previous categories to be completed before these guys even get close. So change up for the leader. Adolf Bossov hits the front at the bottom of the Portable Shade straight. Interesting to see that he chose it at that point. Portable Shade, well, of course, one of the big sponsors in the Onassis team. And he's now got to the front. Let's see if he's able to do anything about Pooch.
I would have liked to see. I wonder if Odendahl maybe even let him through and thought, well, listen, I'm not going to do all the work out front. I'm experienced enough. I've done Moto2 overseas. I'm experienced enough to know that you are just following me. So you have the lead. I mean,
no, let me put some pressure on you.
Let me put some pressure on you. Yeah, let's change it up a bit. Odendahl, I think, put his head down at the front, saw he wasn't pulling the gap, and now he's thought, okay, I'm going to let you do some of the donkey work out front.
The Cowboy do some work, for sure. So Pooch and the Cowboy pulling away to the tune of nearly 13 seconds ahead of everybody else and only 6.5 laps done. I'm telling you, Rob, you're spot on. The way that Yamaha closed in on Adolf Bossov, he has still got something a little bit extra if needed, and he's now pretty comfortable to sit behind Adolf Bossov for a couple of laps and see where there could be chinks in the armor.
Both these bikes relatively new. I think in the last 2 weeks only. They've only turned a couple of laps of testing around the tracks. I know Adolf Boshoff was recently at Pekisa doing some testing with the Neo Life Yamaha, so he's got a little bit more track time, I think, under that. Stephen Oendal was here last weekend.
Yeah. Extreme Festival and the Thunderbikes.
And put in some really impressive times. So these guys have done a bit of work, and you can see it out front at the moment, definitely between these two, but it's going to come down to those last couple of laps. Who's got more tyre, who's got more fitness, and that's going to be the difference.
Right, so 7 down, 8 to go. And the two Yamahas pulling away from the rest of the field. They are definitely the bike to be on this year. If you were able to get one of these, it was a great bargain, and certainly good to see support coming from Yamaha. And they'll be happy about the fact that their champion is still in the hunt, and their new rider in terms of the factory side of things is there too. So this, I think, is going to be the battle of the season. It's going to be very similar to what we're seeing from a MotoGP point of view as well, with the two big Yamaha riders and that epic battle that happened throughout 2015. I think it's going to be more of the same between these two. Possibly could have been teammates.
Yeah.
There's a good possibility of that, but I think the change up for Stephen Oendal is kind of what he needed. Maybe going to fire him up a little bit for his international duties as well. But hopefully he's going to be available for all the rounds and not skip any, because if he does, I think Boshoff is pretty much going to be the man to catch.
The man to beat, for sure. If we look further down, Van Asvegen still there in 7th place, the leading lady rider. Byron Beste in 8th. Kewan Snyman all the way from Cape Town in 9th place. Cameron Aitken running in the top 10. Great ride there. Janine Mitchell in 12th place at the moment, with Alex van der Berg just ahead of her. So great rides all the way through the field here, but yeah, Greg, you got it spot on. Adolf Boshoff is the man to beat. I know Stephen Oendal, unfortunately, will be missing 2 rounds due to his Moto2 commitments, so it's really up to Boshoff to be consistent and not lose points in those rounds that Oendal's not here. If he can do that, it's going to be hard to bet against him.
Just go and have a squiz at what's happening a little bit further back there, but looking at the way things are standing right now, as you said, Boshoff and Oendal at the front end. They lead the national championship. Now, let's have a look at the top 10. You've got Dion Nelson there sitting in 6th place. He's actually first of the regional category. So, as we mentioned, and I know I'm probably sounding like a broken record here, but it's something that we have to mention in this first round, and the way that things are changing up. You've got to take into account that the possibility of Dion Nelson stepping up to national championship by the next round should be there.
100%. He's proving to himself. I think that's what a lot of riders need. You need that proof to yourself that I can do it. And him running in a top 6 in a national championship, being a regional rider, there's no reason why he can't make the step up. And this is the aim that he wants to get to. He wants to get to the likes of Boshoff and Oendal. And I think he's not as far off as he thinks he is.
Yes, exactly. And with a bit more time in the saddle and a little bit more confidence-inspiring rides like he's having right now in 6th place in a national championship race, there's a possibility that that progression will happen. Looking at the 2nd place rider in the regionals, that of course is Cam Aitken. He's in 10th, and then you drop down to David van der Lingen, and of course Janine Mitchell and Matthew Schultz fighting for honours there in the regional category. So that's how they stand at this stage, and this little battle, chopping and changing. We did see a little bit of a wheel showing there from Oendal in 2nd, but I don't think he's too concerned right now. He's pretty happy to sit there right behind a man who can run similar lap times to him. In fact, almost identical lap times to him, because they are chopping and changing between the 55s and 56s at the front.
Now, this battle here, Greg, for 3rd place Baker, 4th Barnard, Loureiro, Nelson, and Van Asvegen, they're all running in the mid 158s. So very consistent, while the guys at the front are running high 55s and low 56s. So 2-second gap between them, and which is not as bad as it sounds. Baker on that brand new Suzuki, no development over the last 2 years in that bike. So Uncle Andy's Racing really do have a lot of work to do to get that Suzuki up there. But if there's a team that can do it, it's definitely that. If there's a rider that can do it, it's Darian Kaiser and Blaise Baker. And I'm really excited to see AJ Fenter later on the big GSX-1000.
On the 1000 Gixxer, for sure. Also got to give a shout out, I think, for the development and the assistance that's gone into it. Is an ex-teammate of mine when I was running Supermoto National Championships, Doug Lang. He's actually behind all the development and work on that bike and the mapping on the two 600cc Suzuki. So well done, Doug. Looks like it's all working there, Dougals. And I think with a bit more time, you're going to have a competitive motorcycle.
Definitely. Loureiro has dropped off now a little bit on that 3rd place battle, so he'll want to get himself right back up there. Blaise Baker really consistent, but Dylan Barnard definitely looks like if he makes the move, he'll be able to pull away. But maybe being smart about it, maybe thinking, right, with 4 or 5 laps remaining, let me just take it easy and pounce with a couple of laps to go, giving Blaise Baker no chance to get back past me. I want that 3rd place. I want my first national podium.
I want to say that he can do it, but if he can't find the additional...
Oh, he's down!
Oh, Dylan Barnard down.
At the end of the back straight.
Just losing the front end as he tipped it in. And I was about to say, if he can't catch him on the back straight, he's going to have a problem. And I think Dylan was trying a little bit later braking than what was required, and that's cost him dearly.
No,
he's able to pick the bike
anywhere.
up, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Look at the left-hand side. There's a lot of... The handlebar's broken.
Tailpiece is
Oh,
gone.
man. What a letdown there for Dill.
Commentators
Dylan Barnard,
curse.
you were going so well, buddy.
Commentators
Unfortunately, he is man down and out of this one. Hopefully there's a bit of spares in the van and he can get it all sorted for race 2. But as you know, you put a bike down like that, it's not quite going to be on the same race pace as what you had when you were going as well as what he was.
No, you find a couple of little niggles there, here and there. So let's hope he can make it out here. But at front, it's still Adolf Boshoff and Steven Orendahl going bar to bar. They've pretty much led the same amount of laps. So definitely just checking each other out. Here's the replay of Dylan Barnard down the back straight. We're just missing it there, but we will get that for you. It looks like he just went in a little bit too hard. Like you said,
Yeah, I think he went
trying to
in too
brake a
hard.
little bit
Yeah.
late and lost the front end.
I was about to mention the fact that the Suzuki seems to have the drag on the straight. So Dylan's going to have to find something special to try and outgun him. And I think he was trying it and it just went too far.
Yeah, they're on the edge here, and you could see
He's okay, though.
He's okay, a little bit disappointed. Hopefully we can get him out there. But these guys are at 58, you're on an edge. And if you make one little mistake, which he did, probably the first mistake he's made the whole race, and it's cost him dearly. And that, unfortunately, is the tough side of racing.
Oh, yellow flag at the top of the straight, and as they come down to the action where the replay is, there you can see he comes in, and it's just the front end gone.
Yeah.
There it goes. Just too hot. In fact, he actually was braking into the turn.
Too much brake, too
Yeah.
much corner speed, and unfortunately that front tire just said, can't do that, and down you goes. That promoted Don Larrera up into 4th position, and Blaise Baker now in a comfortable 3rd position. You've got a couple of seconds on Larrera, so we could be seeing a podium finish for Suzuki first time out.
First race, what's it? First race, 3rd place? I'll take that one. Thanks very much.
Definitely.
Oh, okay, with about 4.5 laps to go now, things seem to be heating up a little bit more in the front end battle. I'm seeing some wheels being shown there by Orendahl. He is definitely applying a bit more pressure than what he was earlier on and expecting something to go wrong with the Cowboy.
Definitely. Orendahl is right on the tail. You don't even have to ride that close, but Orendahl is putting the pressure on. He's using his international experience saying, right, I'm going to load you with pressure. Let's see if you can handle it. And at the moment, hats off to Boshoff. He's done it. Last year, we might have seen him buckle.
Yeah.
This year so far, I'm seeing a much more mature Adolf Boshoff. He's not out of shape. He's not losing the rear end. He's not losing the front. He's riding a smooth race. So Orendahl may be looking at this going, right, I've really got to pull out all my cards here to beat this guy now.
Yeah, he'll keep the Joker for the last lap, though, if he's able to. But headed down into the final turn, and these two Yamahas, definitely the class of the field here in the Super 600. Round 1 here at Red Star, the DO Super GP Champions Trophy. If you're joining us on live streaming, welcome. It's Greg Maloney and Robert Portman alongside me. Great to have Rob and all his experience when it comes to this form of racing, particularly here in 600s. I know you were a 600 bit of an expert. You had your days in the big class as well, but I know that you enjoy the smaller bikes a bit more.
The best racing years of my life were on the Triumph. And talking about the Triumph, Nicole van Aswegen up into 5th position. And Dion Nelson just behind her in 6th, 2 Triumphs. Unfortunately, don't have the competitive edge of the Yamahas and even now the Suzukis, we must say, and the Kawasaki's out front. But what an easy machine to ride. If you're looking to get into 600cc racing, that is the bike you can have.
I'll put my hand up on that one. There's no doubt about it. Learned a huge
2
amount.
brand ambassadors.
Yeah, definitely learned a huge amount there, and loved that motorcycle. It was a big, sad day on when I had to get rid of that, but fortunately got a little Suzuki to play with now for the 4, 8, and 12.
Not a bad thing.
That's a nice one to have. Yeah, I'm very happy with that, and I'm sure that they're very happy right now with their motorcycle in 3rd place. But now, as they pitch it into the double right-hander, have a look. I'm just watching it's incredible to see how Pooch is able to just put that little bit more pressure on than what Boshoff was able to do on him.
He's literally Boshoff's shadow.
Yeah.
He's literally doing everything. He's applying the pressure. And like I said, I haven't seen... that looks like that is...
Oh, that's a
I'm
rider.
not sure who that is.
It's not Lorraine. I think it's a bit further back. It could be David van der Linden.
Yeah, you're right. It could be...
David van der Linden going down there, unfortunately. We'll try and get a number there as quickly as we can, but one of our back markers down. It's not one of the front runners. I know you were kind of looking to see maybe if it was Dorian Leroux, but I think it was black and green is Leroux's colours as opposed to the green and white there. So hopefully we'll pick up and find out who that rider is. And now as they come down into the final turn, We have got 3.5 laps to go.
Okay, Greg, this is tire wear territory now. This is where tire wear comes into play. Oudendaal's been shadowing, so I don't think he's used that much tire. While Boshoff's done all the hard work, they're still running in the high 55s. I think the slowest lap time has been a 56.2 or something. So the lap times have been incredible from these two. But Oudendaal looks comfortable to me. But at the same time, so does Boshoff. There's our crashed rider. And like I said, I think that might be...
I'm sure it's David van der Lingen.
Yeah,
I don't see anybody else that fits that.
He's up
I don't see anybody else that fits the description of what we've seen there. Unfortunately, the number was on the wrong side of the bike for our camera shot. But we'll see him probably drop through the field as they go and start to complete lap number 11 and 12 of the rest of the field. Remember, these guys are probably going to start coming up as well, Rob. I'm just looking at the way things are going onto the back end of Matthew Schultz and where Van der Lingen was.
Yes.
Because with 3 laps to go, there's a possibility of closing in on some of those riders, because currently, the slowest rider on track, Matthew Schultz from Bulawayo, having a super run from the Munro Honda team, doing 2 10s and 2 9s, as opposed to the 57s and 55s we're seeing at the front end.
This pace at the front end, now I'm just starting to think here, possibilities for Oudendaal to make the pass. This is one of them. Get the drive down the back straight and on the brakes on the inside. But Adolf Boshoff is so confident in the front end of that Yamaha. He brakes that 10 meters later than Oudendaal at the moment. The other possibility, you could do it here, not ideal. You could do it into this next right-hander. You get the drive out of the left-hander here and get Oudendaal a little bit out of the seat. He was trying it.
Yeah, he's testing it.
He's trying to line it up, because if you can do it there and force the other rider wide, you've got 2 corners and it's a checkered flag. So you want to do it as late as possible. You cannot do it into the left-hander here. If you do, it's going to be a risky move. Into the final turn the same. So that right-hander is really Oudendaal's last chance to make the move. And if he does make it, he's got to make sure that Boshoff does not fight back, because it's easy to do in the next left-hander.
Yeah, as long as he keeps it on the left-hand side and keeps it for the left-hand side of the second last left-hand corner, he should have it done. Another opportunity, of course, is right at the start of the lap, and go in here and just put it in a little bit hotter and get the rhythm out. That means the rider coming onto the big N12 portable shade straight will probably just be rattled slightly and not get the driver.
Lose the drive.
Listen, or I should say, look at that.
Adolf Boshoff
had a big look back there. Very Fabian Ferré style as well. You don't want to be doing that with 2.5 laps to go.
Maybe just sussing it out. I think ideally, he was actually trying to let Oudendaal pass, maybe. And Oudendaal saying, I'm not going to play your games. I'm going to sit right behind you. I know where I'm stronger. We saw him. I definitely think he was lining up the drive out of that turn. He got it a little bit sideways. Yeah. He now knows, right, I cannot hammer on the gas that hard at that lean angle. But definitely there or here, coming onto the back straight, is where Oudendaal looks like he wants to make the move.
Yeah, discovered a little Dio dog bone coming out of that dog bone section now. It's the big, sharp right-hander. It's almost 180 degree coming back onto the short straight. Here's the drive. It's a slightly better line out of Oudendaal there, and the possibility of the drive could be on. Let's see if he gives it a go now. He might just show a wheel on this one, because there's 2 to go. Well, 1.5 when they get to turn 7 here onto the braking markers. I don't think he's got it, though, because those bikes are too evenly matched.
But even Adolf Boshoff, you could see, he gets on the brakes and he turns. And one of the hardest things for me when I was racing against the likes of Clint Sella and Brent Tarrant was when I went to pass them. They intimidate you so much by braking and turning, cutting off your line, making all that track seem so narrow. And that's exactly what Adolf Boshoff's doing now. And that's why I said Clint Sella's had maybe a little twinkling in his ear and said, listen, if the guy tries to part you, brake and turn. You've got to close that line. You've got to squeeze him out, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. And that's maybe what's happening. But a guy like Oudendaal, I know for a fact will take the gap. He's done it to me plenty of times. We've seen him do it over the years.
Yeah, he's done it
so
to a
this
couple of
is
riders.
going to be, the last couple of laps are going to be intense. With 2 laps left.
1 to go as they cross the line right now. So
lap.
This is where he's got to try and do it. He had a look there. I thought he might have a go. He certainly put the pressure on, which is going to start to rattle the cowboy a little bit now for these last 4Ks. Now, watch the drive. These 2 bikes are too evenly matched to try something under acceleration. And on this last lap, I think it's too late to do it under acceleration. It's now.
Oudendaal's coming.
Oh, he's in the slip. He's pulled out.
He's pulled out on the brakes. He's going to go.
Oh, no. Boshoff's good enough. Much too good for him on the brakes down into the bottom turn. Now heading into the dog bone. Look how close it is between these riders. It's incredible to see. They've stuck together literally from the race start. Now they come, foot out style,
just
closing
to
the door. Yeah.
Close the line even more. Adolf Boshoff is not letting Odendaal anywhere in sight. Odendaal's trying every which way he can as they go around the right-hander here. There's going to be no moves here. Odendaal running the wide sweepy lines, trying to get the drive. This is going to be his chance. He's going to square it up here. Through the left, into the right. You can see Odendaal trying to hold. He's going on the inside. Odendaal on the inside.
What a move!
He taps him.
What a move there.
Boshoff out of the seat. Odendaal looks behind him and Boshoff lost the drive there. Odendaal, what a clever move. He stuck it on the inside, disrupted the rhythm of Boshoff, and Boshoff has now lost the race. Odendaal late
Runs
on the
wide.
brakes. Here comes Boshoff on the inside.
Boshoff had a big look there, but he ran wide. That was all due to the fact that he probably ran into the top of that straight a bit hotter than
On
what
the
he
inside,
expected.
Boshoff!
Here comes Boshoff. Boshoff's back at him. Comes straight back. We've got to change up in the lead again. There's 3 corners to go.
Watch Odendaal on the inside. He's going to go. Boshoff late on the brakes. Odendaal, Boshoff just closes the door now. Here we go into the final couple of turns. Doesn't look like Odendaal's going to have an answer. This is the last time he can do it. And no, he's too far back. Boshoff has got this for me.
That's incredible bit of riding from those two. And both of them youngsters in their own right. The crowd are standing on their seats waiting for the line to come. It's a drag race to the line. The two of them are going to come to it. Who's going to take it? Boshoff versus... it's just Boshoff. Can you believe that?
0.021 of a second.
Wow.
Adolf Boshoff takes the win. That is South Africa's finest racers going at it. You will not find better racing than that. That was strategic, well-planned, right? I can't believe it.
And high fives.
Yeah.
Love to see high fives. A little bit of problems there on the back straight. Those are high fives. I think it's Janine Mitchell. Or is that Cam? That could be Cam Aitken.
One of the Monroe bikes.
One of the Monroe bikes parked on the sideline on the last lap. Possibility, maybe even running out of fuel by the looks of things. But it is the Cowboy, Adolf Boshoff, on his new team, the Neolife Racing Yamaha, who takes the victory ahead of the Petra Racing Yamaha of Pooch, Stephen Odendaal. But what a turnaround. It is Suzuki on the podium for the very first time of asking, and they take it ahead of Nicole van Aswegen on the Triumph. Great effort there from van Aswegen. She wins out over Doran Leroux, eventually catching Leroux, and it probably caught him napping slightly there for 5th place. Dion Nelson is the first of our regional category riders in the 600s. He finishes up in 5th place. So I think there might have been a problem on Leroux, who's now fallen by the wayside on that last lap. There's an issue there on Doran Leroux. Let's have a look and see what happens as who is the next rider to cross the line.
We wait.
We've got Nelson's crossed.
Bester
comes through. Doran Leroux has gone missing on the last lap.
Yep.
There you can see
Lorero's
come through. Cameron Aitken should be next, but that's actually Matthew Schultz. So it was Cameron Aitken on the back straight.
Yes.
And Doran Leroux eventually comes through in 4th place.
In 4th place, so yeah. 4th place for Lerero, 5th place for Van Aswegen, Nelson in 6th, Bester in 7th, and there we go.
That's nice to see.
Dylan Barnard's going to catch a lift with one of his riders, maybe either Lerero or Blaze Baker.
Probably Blaze
back
there.
to the pit lane.
Blaze needs to get back for the podium ceremony, you know? So can't waste too much time, but great to see him stopping and helping his good friend there, Dylan Barnard, back to pit lane with the stricken Kawasaki down at turn number 4. Wow, what a start to the season. Rob, we're in for a great one, buddy. That's what it's all about.
It's going to be like
I'm going to leave you for the highlights, and I'll catch you back here in a few minutes' time. I'm going to head off to podium ceremony, but shortly, folks, we'll give you a little bit of a highlights, and what a highlights package they've got for us.
Here we go, straight into the highlights then. The red light went off, and it was a great start for Stephen Odendaal. Not the greatest start from Adolf Boshoff, who jumped. Doran Leroux up into 2nd place. Blaze Baker, Nicole van Aswegen on the Triumph was up into 5th place, going into the first chicane. Heading down the back straight for the first time, it was Odendaal ahead of Leroux with Adolf Boshoff in the slipstream. Boshoff would make the move on Leroux up into 2nd place down the back straight. As we look further down the field, Darian Kaiser unfortunately made a mistake early on in the race, and that forced him out. That was the move that Stephen Odendaal made on Adolf Boshoff in the final closing stages of the race into the right-hander, forcing Boshoff wide. It was really a cat and mouse trail between the two Yamaha riders out front. Adolf Boshoff then stuck it on the inside of Stephen Odendaal in the final stages. Odendaal tried to fight back but had no answer. And it was Adolf Boshoff who took it by 0.021 of a second. It does not get closer than that in any form of racing. And there's the high fives and the claps for Adolf Boshoff on the Neolife Yamaha. High fives from Big Boss Brad Anassis. What a mature ride from Adolf Boshoff that was. Really great to see. Comes to the camera, gives the camera a high five there, and really well done to Adolf Boshoff. Really going to be the man to beat this year on that Yamaha and in that Anassis Racing team.
Well, Rob, we are waiting for the Suzuki to get here as well. It's made its first debut podium on debut as well. So the reason it's taking its time is because he stopped off to collect Dylan Barnard on the way. So should be any second. I can see Doug Lang coming in to find his bike. He can't find his bike. The reason he can't find his bike is that Blaze Baker stopped to pick Dylan Barnard up on the way. So he'll be here any second now. But we've got two extremely happy Yamaha riders in here. I know there was a bit of strategy in some of the moves. There's some high fives between them, which is great to see. And, of course, that's what the competitive nature of the sport is all about. You give it everything you've got on track, and then you come off and high-five the rider next to you, because that's the kind of riders we've got here in South Africa. They are top-quality stuff. It's top-quality racing, and some of the best racing you're going to see all season long coming out of Dio's SuperGP Champions Trophy. We're still waiting for Blaze to make his way here. Andy's here. We can get Andy on the podium. I bet you're happy about that one, Andy. Oh, really? Oh, no, he's had a bit of an issue out there. So, well, Andy, congratulations, first of all. Let's have a quick chat while we're waiting for him, because it is Suzuki's welcome return to National Championship Racing, and you've put a massive effort to get them here.
Yes, thanks. We have. They've been away for a while, so we've got a bit of catch-up. Well done to the Yamahas, but it's the first race. So let's see where we go in future. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a very competitive Suzuki coming in the very near future. I think it's on its way in. I can hear it in the background. And here he comes, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make some noise for third place, Blaze Baker. A fantastic effort from the youngster. And, yeah, he had to help his friend out a bit to get him back to pit lane. But we're going to get them up onto the podium as soon as we can, so we can keep the day running as smoothly as what we've done so far. How's that for a bit of help out, eh? The man who wins the race goes and helps the Suzuki team move the bike to get it into third spot here for our podium ceremony. That's the kind of camaraderie and spirit we've got here at Dio SuperGP Champions Trophy. Let's get them on the podium. While he's taking that Shui helmet off, I'm going to ask you to walk up there with the water, Blaze. Third place for Uncle Andy's Racing Suzuki. Let's hear it for Blaze Baker, ladies and gentlemen. In second place, and your reigning champion, and it looks like he's going to have to fight hard to keep that #1 plate on the Petra Racing Yamaha. Let's hear it for Pooch himself, Stephen Odendaal. And this man's been waiting a long, long time to get this in the bag. There's no doubt about it. Stepped up onto the Neolife Yamaha team this time. The Dragon Energy was certainly working. Let's hear it for the cowboy, Adolf Boshoff. Third place by Mr. Tim Cook from Gas Sports, going to be handed to Blaze Baker. And high fives for the rest of the riders. The big boss man from Motorsport South Africa, our commission chairman, Dick Shuttle, going to hand second place to Stephen Odendaal. And Stephen Watson going to hand first place to Adolf Boshoff. Ladies and gents, your very first Super 600 podium for 2016. We are in for an epic year. There is no doubt about it. Let's have a quick chat to our riders and see how things went. A little bit of a stop off there, Blaze, for you to help out Dill there. Unfortunately, he went down in about the halfway stage of the race, but it looked like you guys were in a little bit of a battle between the two of you.
Yeah, you know, what can I say? New team, new bike. I can't say thank you enough to Uncle Andy and for all the work he's put in and his effort into the team. You know, yesterday we had terrible luck with the bike, and today is just turned over completely. And yeah, excellent now to be back on the podium.
It looks like this bike will be competitive once you've got a little bit more development onto it. So I think the Yamahas will have to keep their eyes on the rearview mirrors if they had them.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're going to definitely do a bit more development on it and catch up to the front two. They were quite a way ahead of me at the end there, but we want to be there next step, closer, bit by bit for Pikisa.
Phenomenal stuff. Well done on the podium for the first time out. Pooch, are you around there? Stevie, come and join us here, big guy. Let's have a quick chat. I know you've got a busy schedule, not only here, but also internationally. And I think that's something that's going to hinder you slightly to maybe hang on to this #1 plate, but I know you're not going to give up.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to give up. Awesome battle with the Dolph. Really enjoyed it. Played some tactical tricks, but unfortunately it didn't work out. I led into, I don't know, one of the last corners, but I ran a little bit wide and I just gave him the opportunity to get a bit closer. But you know, there's always race 2, and I know we're using second-hand tires, so let's see what happens then.
I can tell you the rubber was taking strain out there. The track seems to be pretty hot as well, so it's definitely a bit of a strategy to try and maintain as much rubber for those last couple of laps when you start to play the games that you and Adolf did.
Yeah, definitely. That's when it counts towards the end. And, you know, I just want to say thanks to everyone getting the bike out here looking good. And thanks to Yamaha, thanks to everyone. And let's go for race 2.
Full gas, I'm sure we're going to be seeing out of you. Cowboy, come and join us here, big guy. This is an impressive ride. First time out for your new team. I think they expected a lot of you. You've done a huge amount of testing to get it all sorted out, but it's not quite the way you'd like it to be just yet. There's probably a little bit more that you can get out of it, and you're probably going to squeeze it out now for the second heat, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. New equipment, a new team. This is really awesome. I'd just like to thank New Life for giving me the energy. Without them, this race wouldn't be possible, and Yamaha and Portable Shade. Just a big shout out to you guys. Thanks.
The number 3 plate, you were right there last year. You pushed hard to get it. That number 1 plate on the second Yamaha could possibly be yours, but you've got to stay consistent.
Yeah, for sure. Last year I had a lot of DNFs. With the help of the team, they're giving me the confidence, and for sure I'm working on that, and we'll see how it goes the second race.
Fun and games about to start here for the second heat of the Super 600s. Pooch is the man, and he'll be looking to go one better than what he did in race 1.
He was happy, but not happy in race 1. Stephen Windall's very competitive. He doesn't want to be beaten.
Well, he doesn't want to be beaten is probably
by his old team.
His old team, but more importantly, you mentioned it in race 1. He's not going to be here for 2 rounds, so championship points have to be the top ones every single time, or else by the end of the season, he's going to be found wanting to the tune of probably 20 points.
And I was just looking at Adolf Boshoff when you were commentating, when you were speaking to him at the podium. He looks very focused this year, does Adolf Boshoff. He looks serious. Brad Anassis looks like he's got the best out of Adolf. So it's great for the series. It's great for us as South Africans because we've got another top racer coming out of our national championship. So watch out. Adolf Boshoff is a man on the mission. The Suzukis will be looking to pick up another podium. Amazing.
Speaking of man on the mission, I think we need to head down to the Teasers Triumph installment there, but the Teasers girls have just arrived. There's a man on a mission.
You think so?
Wow. Yes, indeed. Well, that's what motorcycling is all about. It's the body babes. It's
the show.
The vibe. It's the show. It's, man, you don't get better than this. This
Where
is what it's
else
all
would
about.
you want to be on a Saturday, like today?
Red Star is a good plan.
100%.
I'm going to join you at Red Star. That sounds like a good plan.
100%.
Anybody around the world, if you're not at Red Star, well, we hope that you're on our live streaming and enjoying all the action that we're bringing you to from Red Star. But yeah,
if you want to come from the UK, it'll cost you £10 to get here.
Oh, and the MTech Racing girls are just allowed to come in and help themselves to our air-conditioned unit. Is that how it works, eh?
Oh, I think
see how that works? Are they bringing us lunch? You see how nice that is, eh? Wow, look at that. You're so kind. Thank you very much, ma'am.
I don't know what to say.
We got our own lunch. Thank you, everybody.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say either. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal.
Okay, well, we're going to cut commentary for the next hour while we eat.
sorry, guys. We're going to be offline while we've just been given a magnificent lasagna and salad from MTech Racing.
That is one way to get your name mentioned a lot more on commentary. But we're looking at Stephen Windall with his beautifully prepared Shui helmet, ready for his exploits overseas in the Moto2 Championship. And like I said, happy but not happy with that race 1. He wants to always be on the top step of that podium. For race number 2, the grid shifted a bit. Stephen will be on pole position as his fastest time, second fastest time in qualifying, put him on the number 1 spot for race number 2. And we're
on TV, Rob.
He kind of played race number 1 perfectly because he made the move when he needed to, disrupted Boshoff's race, but Boshoff somehow came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think when I spoke to him on the podium, you would have probably heard him say, yeah, I planned that move to perfection, and he nailed it. I mean, it was caught both of us off guard in terms of where he should have overtaken and where he did overtake. But, the Cowboy had something else up his sleeve and said, you're not going through there. I've got something better, and we're going to show you what to do. So, Udendal is on pole. It's Adolf Boshoff alongside him. That man there is third on the grid, and hopefully they've got the overheating problem sorted out for Doran Larrea. Second row of the grid will be Dylan Barnard, if he was able to fix the bike. And I'm looking across, not seeing a 6.4 ahead of the 51 that we're seeing in shot right now, Blaze Baker. So I doubt that Dylan Barnard had sufficient spares to get the bike sorted out. That man's all good to go. Well, man, there's another fast rider. And I think Byron Bester is using this time to just get himself all sorted out, psyched up. His Broly babe, of course, Mike McGregor there doing a super job. Love that, eh? Fantastic.
Yeah, beautiful. Shout out to Dion Nelson on the Triumph. Had a great race one. Good battle with the other Triumph rider, Nicole van Aswierken. So watch out for those Triumphs. They really have got to turn a pace now, and had a great race number 1, and will be looking to do even better in race number 2. As we are ready now, we're clearing the grid, ready for race 2 action. If it's anything like race number 1 between Oudendal and Boshoff, then make sure you get a comfy seat, because it is time to go racing. These are the best 600 riders in the country going
If
to
not,
war. Well, there's one in the commentary booth here, which is me, but
in the world. Woohoo! Wheelie time from Loreo as he heads down into turn 1. This is a warm-up. Oh, we just got you caught napping there ever so slightly. This is the warm-up lap, heading down into the portable shade, and portable shade back straight away. The little chicane, it's a left-right, left flick, and then onto that long straight. The N12 highway. Portable shade sponsoring that highway today. And everything she's got down there on a 600, close to the 235, 40k an hour mark. Cam Aitken, first bike down there. Suzuki of Blaze Baker is the second one. It's Alex van den Berg on their tail as Kuhn Sneyman tucks in behind them. But you can see all the usual contenders and all the fighters are back in it. Keep an eye out also through the field. Keep an eye out for Matthew Schultz, of course, all the way from Bulawayo, part of the Munro team. He's actually on his mom's bike, and his mom was sitting just behind us a couple of minutes ago, coming to see what we were talking about and if we were keeping it all right. So great to see them all here. And
pretty lady.
Yes, indeed.
Very pretty lady.
Looking forward to her being in the action next time, because unfortunately Matt's bike broke. So nice to have mom on a bike and the opportunity to ride her bike for the weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, big thanks there to Bianca for giving that up to Matthew so he can go and have some fun and games with these guys and girls. And
do you think it was offered, or you think the son just said, listen, this is how it's going to be?
No, it was offered. Yeah, it was offered. Unfortunately, I think there was a little bit of team tactics involved there as well. But Bianca not happy to sit out, but you're never happy to sit out as a racer.
Yeah.
You'd rather be on the track. But I think there's an opportunity that we might have found there. And I want to speak to Stephen Watson about it. But when you got a lady of the likes of Bianca, there's a good possibility we could be using her skills in pit lane when she's not on the motorcycle. Because
I wouldn't mind watching
the questions that could come out of her are race related because of her having the experience on the bike. And it's something they wanted to try with Janine Mitchell, and possibilities that we can maybe get Bianca to step up to that role.
And she's got the face for a camera.
Exactly. That's exactly what we need.
Which is never a bad thing.
Always
That's why we sit here
That's
behind
why
the
we're
camera.
here and we don't go down to that section. Exactly, Rob. Welcome to my world. 20 years next year. That's my commentary career.
Oh, nice. Very
Heading
nice.
into the top 20s now. So,
Jeez.
What's
Congratulations.
Coming in at number 20. That's Ultravox with Vienna. Oh, that's very Steve Bishop of me there. Hey? Righty then. Riders coming around and heading to the final turn. Keep an eye out on that Triumph. I was very impressed with Nicole van Aswierken and the way she was able to get off the line. If Dion Nelson can do the same thing, those two trumpets will be up and in the mix. Probably not with the Yamahas, but certainly the second pack of riders.
Greg, you're going to put your money on whole shot. I'll give you
if he's on pole,
12 guesses.
No, if he's on pole,
it's Stephen Oudendal.
Yeah, there's no one going to beat
him.
It's got to be. Right, so Pooch, alongside him is Adolf Boshoff, the cowboy. Doran Loreo. Dawes is there. Unfortunately, Dylan Barnard, second row. That's the one that's missing. Then you've got the first of the Suzuki's, Blaze Baker. Alongside him, his teammate, Darian Kaiser. Those two looking on the inside. Inside of the track is a good option to be on. As the lights go out, we go down towards turn 1, portable shade chicane, and it's Pooch. Stephen Oudendal, spot on. The pocket rocket goes into turn 1 and leads things out. Doran Loreo, much better start from him. He's got Blaze Baker right on his tail. An incredible start there coming from the Munro Honda, and up the inside goes Darian Kaiser, forcing him wide. And Cam Aitken had to try and take evasive action as Darian Kaiser, the Dazzler, snuck through there and just put it up the inside of the Honda.
I think Kaiser's on a mission. He didn't have the race one he wanted at all, so he really is a man on a mission. And look at Blaze Baker using the speeder that Suzuki down the back straight to get past the Kawasaki of Doran Herrera up into third place now. So you can see Stephen Oudendal out front already trying to stretch a gap over Adolf Boshoff and the rest of the field. If he can do that, he might have a chance of picking up the race win. Cameron Aitken, very stylish young rider, making his debut on the 600s and doing a great job ahead of the two Triumphs already, Nelson and van Aswierken.
Yeah, better run there from Nelson. He beat van Aswierken to turn 1, so she's got a bit of work to do to make it the first Triumph on track. And, look at that
that's
side
close.
by side. Almost handlebar to handlebar as they came out of the dog bone section. Now heading into the chicane. Hard on the brakes there. And you can see it's not going to be... Oh, what a move! How is
inside.
that? That's impressive stuff. Aitken just squares it up and gets off, and now...
Now everyone's looking around.
They're
No one can
going,
believe
is there
it.
oil? Is there something wrong with this track? Why are these people starting to just jump out of their saddles all of a sudden?
Yeah, that was intense. And I spoke to... there's a mistake. I think it was Dion Nelson who ran straight there. I'm pretty sure I saw a bike run straight. Or at least wide. I'm sure it was Dion Nelson.
Probably a little bit wide, yeah. I think he's just dropped back
he's
ever so
lost,
slightly.
yeah.
There's Nicole Van Arsvegen now, first of the triumphs. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, Nelson's gone.
There he is, yeah. Nelson running wide, and now probably going to come back on the track right the way down. So across the line, it's Undal. He's going to be the man to catch. And let's see whether or not the Cowboy and Doran Larrea can do anything about him.
I spoke to Byron Bester in the break as well, and suffering with a bit of back pain. He said he's finding it hard to move on the bike, especially later in the race. So watch out for him. He certainly has a lot better pace than showing today, but it's all about the development as he heads over to British Super Sport to compete in that championship this year as well. So it's going to be a busy year for the Besters, but definitely looking forward to seeing him overseas taking on the best that Britain has to offer. As he's right now on the tail of Cameron Aitken. Let's see if he's got the speed down the back straight. Cameron Aitken is the size of a peanut, so that 600 really has got a lot more horsepower in the back straight.
And we've got to take into account is those two have been fighting in 250 Cup for a long, long time as well. So the rivalry has now moved up into a 600 National Championship. Yes, they're both not on the kind of pace that they were going to be when they get into it full time.
Yes.
But they certainly have not held back from getting up to a reasonable pace in terms of what's happening at the front end.
Oh, Baker was very tight there. He was on the wrong line. Just lost the rear a little bit, and that forced him wide, but he managed to hold it all together. I think he's got a little bit better setup on that bike for race number 2. You said they wanted to work on the suspension. Remember, this is all just testing laps for them as that bike is brand new. Lerero also a much better start. And look at, is that Darian Kaiser on
It is
the
indeed.
move? He's coming.
Kaiser's now the Suzuki bread in this Kawasaki sandwich, because that Kawasaki is now the meat in the sandwich.
lettuce.
Oh, the lettuce. Yeah, let's go with the lettuce, because green meat, I don't know. That wouldn't be so like. Right, so down the short straight. Now, those little Suzukis have got a great turn of pace, that is for sure. Heads up on Kaiser closing in. We know how good Kaiser's around here. I mean, you've had to ride against him for race wins in 4, 8, 12, as well as the 24 hours. So certainly a great endurance rider. But yeah, in the sprint races, he has had his days. And particularly, as I said, at this track, kind of a bit of a specialist.
Yeah.
So could potentially close down that gap relatively quickly.
Van Arsvegen now has pulled a little bit of a gap on Byron Bester, who's now got the better of Cam Aitken. That's Kewan Snyman trying to go on the inside. We've seen them battle as well. So Snyman all the way from Cape Town with a great ride. First time out at Red Star Raceway, and he's got Alex van der Berg just behind him, his mate also from Cape Town. So this is great to see the two guys after that long trip, and you know what a long drive it is to do this racing in this heat and then load the van up. And Blaze Baker using all the track and more. You don't want to do that into turn 1.
Yeah, no, don't put it over the white stripe at the exit of pit lane.
That line's there for a reason. It's not to go over it.
Do not attempt to go over it. Right, down the N12 straight away. Heads behind the visors, getting as low down as possible. And there you can see the additional power of that little Suzuki. It doesn't seem that Kaiser's has got as much as what Blaze has got, so maybe he's changed it. I know that I spoke to Kaiser, and you'll be able to help me out here, because the technology side of things I'm not that great on. But Blaze was telling me that they've taken the mapping system off that bike completely, so he can run it literally to the power that the bike's got available to him. He's not playing around with different settings, etc. I wonder if Darian hasn't kept his on, which is why he's maybe not getting the same amount of power.
The only thing that might hamper Blaze Baker with that is the bike overheating. Electronics often keep the bike cool, restrict the bike enough that it doesn't overheat. That's maybe what happened to Lerero in race 1. If you look at Lerero down the back straight, he's not picking up the slipstream because he doesn't want that hot air in his bike. So he's actually pulling out of the slipstream of Blaze Baker so his bike doesn't overheat. And that's the big problem here. With the heat now, the wind has picked up slightly, but you still got that thick, hot South African air, and it's so easy to overheat these bikes.
Yeah, and particularly here at altitude as well. It's not quite as high as Johannesburg, which is only about 45, 50 Ks away, but we are at a relatively high altitude, which is also going to affect the power and performance of these motorcycles. It's something we haven't really spoken about all race day long, but certainly an issue that would come into play when you're setting a bike up.
Blaze Baker looking a bit more comfortable on that bike. I think they're definitely making steps forward with the suspension of that bike. In the first race, he would hit those brakes hard and the bike would definitely be a lot more out of shape than it is at the moment. Doran Herrera looking very smooth though, right on his tail. You can see he doesn't want to ride too close because of that hot air and the overheating problems as he goes right over the red line into pit lane. Looks behind. Darian Kaiser is gone. We've lost Darian Kaiser again, unfortunately.
He's down. There he is. Kaiser out. Same place as Sella. Going through the final turn, a little bit too hot, headed onto the Pirelli straight away. And unfortunately, you cannot go in there too hot at all because we've already seen a 4-time national champion, back-to-back national champion, Nogal, go and put it down in a big way. And Kaiser has followed suit.
Greg, I spoke to Clint about the accident. With that turn, it is so easy. There's so many times as a fast rider, you go into that turn and you think, next lap I can go so much faster. It's that kind of turn that draws you in. But as soon as you get in there, you realize that the turn actually tightens up quite a lot. And you run out of road, and then you clamp the brake more, lose the front, and that's probably what's happened there again. Sella admittedly said, listen, my fault, I ran in there too fast. I saw Scholz was closing the gap a little bit by 0.2. I wanted to up the ante before I knew it, I was on the ground. But that's at least good to see. Kaiser is up and picking up some spare parts to go to Uncle Andy and say, here's your mudguard.
There's the front cowling of the motorcycle. Man alive. What a pity there. Just not a great start to the season there for Darian Kaiser. We wish him all the very best for a speedy recovery and a big comeback when we get to Pakisa in about 4 weeks' time. So it's now up to Blaze Baker to fly that Suzuki flag high. You can see they're being assisted there by Motel, and of course those two both riding showy helmets. And I also saw Mark Roach in the crowd from AMP, so he'll be pretty happy so far with performances from his riders, and looking forward to seeing whether or not they're going to stay on the podium heading into the closing stages. We're not anywhere near that, of course. We're only going into complete lap number 4 of 15, so 11 laps still to go.
Van Asverken has been promoted up into 5th place, so it's a good ride there for the lady rider. Bester in 6th, losing a little bit of ground on Van Asverken. Sneeman is now closing in on Bester. He's got the better of Cameron Aitken with Van der Berg. They're still in our yellow flags out, so no overtaking there for the Kaiser incident. And Loureiro looks like he's got to turn a pace, but we saw this in race number 1. He looked like he was challenging and then unfortunately just faded due to the overheating problems. Again, the problem is he cannot get too close because then the bike overheats. So what does he do? He can't even pick up the slipstream to line up a pass on the very fast Suzuki.
Or his other option, of course, is to throw caution to the wind and get past.
Yeah.
And then try and run away and cool the bike by running away. That's not always the best thing to do. There you can see he pulls out of the slipstream again, trying to get some cool air into the cooling systems, and hopefully not going to overcook that little ZX6 of his.
Looking very racy though. It looks like he's nice and in control. There's a lot of riding here. Doran, his dad, brings him out as often as they can, getting him ready for the EJC overseas. They had a couple of good results overseas there last year. Picked up a 4th and a 7th in a couple of the races. Really did compete, made a couple of mistakes. But the hardest thing is going over there and learning new tracks. It's really not as easy. And you're in a foreign country using everything foreign. It's not easy, but the guys are doing it. So big up to them, and I'm really going to be following Doran Herrera very closely this year.
Looking forward to what all 3 of those youngsters that are in the EJC Cup are going to be doing. I think we're, as we mentioned earlier on, if you weren't with us earlier on the live streaming, it's great to see the potential coming out of South Africa. We've certainly got the talent. It's now just a case of finding the funding. If we could find the funding, all of a sudden things would be changing up at the front end of most of the top categories of motorcycle racing all around the world. And when I say that, I mean literally World Superbikes as well as MotoGP, because the talent we've got has the ability to run at the front end of both of those paddocks.
I would agree 110 million% with you there, Greg. We really do. The likes of Steen Oendal have shown it overseas. They've gone there and competed. Speaking of Oendal, he's out front. He's got a 1.8 second lead over Bosov, and he's just set a 1:55 dead. So that is the fastest lap of the race. If I look at it now, Bosov, that lap was 1 second slower. So I don't know if he made a mistake in that, but Oendal has put the hammer down, and I think he's thrown all the tactics out the window. He said, I tried to follow in race 1. I tried to do tactics. It didn't work. This race, I just want to get out front, do what I do best, lead and win.
Well, there's the gap down that back straight away. It's now up to 2.4 seconds. So Oendal just slowly but surely opening up a margin that I don't think Bosov is going to have an answer to. We kind of saw that at the beginning of race number 1. Oendal led out for a bit. He saw that Bosov was able to run the same kind of pace. Maybe they changed a few things. Maybe they went a different route on Bosov's bike, which is why he hasn't got the same kind of race pace. It's also different track conditions out there at this stage. You mentioned the fact that the heat and the wind are into play in terms of the abilities of the bike and the rider to hang on to it. So we know one of the fittest riders in the country is definitely Stephen Odendaal. I'm not saying anything from Adolf Boshoff's point of view. I know he also puts in a massive amount of time in the gym and on the bicycle to ensure his cardiovascular keeps him up there. But it doesn't look like it's helping him right now, because it's Odendaal pulling to the tune of about half a second a lap away from him.
This is what Odendaal has done his whole career, though. When he gets out front, he's able to put in lap after lap after lap and extend the leaders. Now up to 2.3 seconds. So getting a little bit comfortable out there. Boshoff, again, he's got to be mature here. He's picked up the race win. Does he hammer it down to try and catch Odendaal and risk crashing, or does he just pick up the points and take it to Pekisa, knowing that Stephen Odendaal will not be here for 2 races? And that is his main challenge over. So get the points, go home with a trophy, all is good. Head to Pekisa with he'll be level on points going to Pekisa, but he'll have that advantage of Odendaal missing the 2 races.
As they come on to braking markers, you can see Darren Larrea now also applying a little bit more pressure. There's still, we're only at 1/3 of the race completed. That's 5 of 15. Incredibly, it seems a hell of a lot more, but anyway. And we've still got, well, it's 11 laps to go. Well, we had 10 laps to go, I should say. It's 9 laps to go now.
The problem for Lerero, he is slowing up, and I wonder if it's that overheating issue again. He's going to be pulling into the pits. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Darren Lerero. He was having such a good race right on the tail of Blaze Baker, but problems there, and has had to force himself into pits. That gives Blaze Baker a comfortable 3rd place and promotes Nicole van Aswegen, the lady rider on screen now, up into 4th place.
That is an incredible effort there from Nicole van Aswegen. Hats off to the lady rider, probably South Africa's top lady rider. Makes a little bit of a mistake, maybe a little bit eager seeing Darren Larrea go off, and now looking to maybe close in on Blaze Baker. Look at the lap times. Nicole van Aswegen running in the 58.9s, 58.6s out of Blaze Baker, so she's only 3/10 off. But unfortunately, it's a, 79-second gap she's got to try and make.
But she's got a comfortable gap ahead of the rest of the field, so that's what she'll be looking at. Looks like she needs to work on the setup of that bike a little bit, though. It looks to be a little bit out of shape in places, and Nicole's always struggled with, like we said earlier, the lady riders don't have the same stature as the guys, so she does have to work 10 times harder than we do to get the bike where she wants it. But they've done a great job in setting that bike up, and this is a great ride. To finish 4th again, I think she finished 6th in race 1. Good, valuable championship points.
And great to see Arnie Olivier from Triumph here backing her, even though it's not an official factory team this time out. There's still support coming from Triumph South Africa, and the big man from Triumph South Africa in the audience at the podium ceremony. I caught a glimpse of him there, and I'm sure he's loving the fact that he's now got a Triumph up in a 4th place and a lady rider on board as well.
What a pleasure, a double whammy. This is Alex van der Berg, all the way from Cape Town. Great to see them make the trip here, come to Red Star for the first time, chatted to him a little bit, really enjoying the track. Says it's really, really hard compared to Cape Town, and the heat here really does play a factor. Cam Aiken, great outing, first time out on the Munro bike. Remember, it's his first time out on the 600, and doing a great job picking up yet more good points and keeping it on 2 wheels, which is the main thing.
Yeah, nice to do that, and nice to see the youngster getting to grips with 600cc racing. His arch rival, Byron Bester, of course, just a little bit up the road, and I'm sure that he'd be liking to do that. There's another man on a Munro machine. That's Matthew Skoltz. That's the man we're talking about all the way from Bulawayo. Great to see a couple of imports coming back and forth there, because there's a couple of riders going up here from our side of things, going to race in the national championships up there too. But right now, that's the man they've all got to try and catch. And Odendaal, 55 dead. That's the fastest lap we've seen out of him. His last lap was a 55.6. So consistent 55s all the time.
Quick, still half a second quicker than Boshoff. So, and I'm just watching his riding style in that. He's a man. There's Darren Lerero. That's just, there's nothing worse than that. It's like watching someone kiss your sister. It's the worst thing in the world. Like, it's just horrible.
No, not the way you want to be doing it. Anyway, you can see some Gary van der Spaes there as well, just showing him.
Always there, eh?
Quick to pick up on what's
happening.
happening.
There's about 10 of Gary van der Spaes everywhere.
He's incredible, hey. I think he's got like little tunnels around that gets him to places he needs to be.
This is Dion Nelson. He's made it back on track. He was right up there and made the mistake on that opening lap, but he's back on track now, and he's running in 10th position, so making up places. But Stephen Odendaal is a man on a mission. I could just see in his eyes when you were doing the interview on the podium, he was putting on a brave face. He was not a happy man. He did not enjoy being beaten.
I don't like second.
Yeah, 100%.
Second is definitely not for me. So he's certainly going to be happier right now, and we don't want to give him a commentator's curse or anything, but right now it looks like all things going according to plan for Odendaal in the second heat. He comes up on the back end of another of the Munro races. In fact, that's Adolf Boshoff going past Matthew Schultz as Odendaal comes across the line and gets to the halfway stage.
Gets the thumbs up from his pit crew saying, you have got over 2.5 second lead, which is exactly what he would have wanted to see on his pit board. Nothing worse than when you come across the line and you just see the guy behind you closing down the time on your pit board. Really does put pressure on you. But Stephen Oendal, he knows how to handle the pressure. He's done it his whole racing career, and he's going for title number 3 in a row. But with Adolf Boshoff on the form and on the bike and in the team he's in, he's going to be a hard man to beat.
4.4 seconds now, the gap between himself and Oendal. So the Cowboys got to find something really special now in these last 6.5 laps. Blaze Baker still hanging on for 3rd place and going to give
Boshoff.
Suzuki another. Boshoff, a little erratic, and
Do you need to be
actually
doing
going
that?
the old style of Boshoff there. Not what you want to be doing. Got to try and keep it smooth like he did in the first race.
Looks like he's got a problem. I think his rear set's broken off or something. Or no, he's just his leg hanging off there.
Maybe a bit of cramp.
Very strange. Yeah, maybe a little bit of
Could
cramp.
be a bit of cramp there.
100%. May I ask why they call him the Cowboy?
I have no idea. That's what he calls himself.
Yeah, he's got cramp or something because that left leg keeps coming off that peg. There's nothing worse than
That's
leg
the
cramp.
worst, eh?
Oh,
No, I know.
You cannot stand up in the middle of a corner
No.
at that speed either.
No. Yeah, no. So hopefully he'll get that all sorted out. And looks like it's going to be hindering him a little bit. So potential for Baker to close in, although he's got about 20 seconds to make. So maybe he doesn't have to worry too much. If he does get up onto the straights, you might see him stand up on the bike as well, just to try and get rid of that cramp.
No, he's looking. Yeah, he doesn't look 100% comfortable, does he? But I don't know if it's a problem with the bike or, like we said, leg cramp. So we're gonna have to just monitor that. But it doesn't seem to have slowed him down too much because he's still, he's 4.5 seconds now, almost behind Stephen Oendal. So definitely not the race he would have wanted. We know how competitive he is, and he's got that look in his eye this year that he wants that championship more than anything else.
It would be great to see it going to somebody else, but of course Stephen Oendal wanting to do the unthinkable and go 3 for 3, and Kinsella wanting to go 5 for 5. Hasn't quite started according to plan for him, and we'll get into that a bit later on. But as they go into the portable shade, flick-flack, and onto that back straightaway, it's Adolf Boshoff trying to do everything he can. It's 5.8 seconds now between himself and Oendal. That's the whole back straight.
Yeah, Oendal has pulled the pin. There's no doubt about it. He was not a happy man after race 1. Maybe made a couple of tweaks here and there on the bike, but got the start he wanted, whole-shotted, pretty much had a half a second gap on Boshoff at the beginning of the race, and that really does help. It really breaks that toe, and Boshoff has been chasing the whole entire race. You can see leg out, and I don't know, maybe they have changed something on that bike because it doesn't look as settled as it was in race number 1, that's for sure.
Matthew Schultz going through and looking pretty good for a 12th place finish there. Remember, he's, of course, riding in the regional category, so it'll be a 3rd for him. It's exactly where he'd like to be. I'm sure he'd like to move up ever so slightly too, but, of course, not on his first choice of steed. The choice he's on right now is the one that belongs to Bianca, his mom, and I'm sure that he'll try and push it as hard as he can. But by the time they get to the next round, hopefully his bike is sorted out. And as I said, we can potentially get Bianca back on the bike. But if she's not riding, it's not going to be a bad option to have Bianca down in pit lane to help us out with those pit lane interviews as well.
And a great event to look forward to at the end of the year as we look at Monroe Racing Cam Aitken is the Bulawayo.
Yes,
You've
indeed.
done the race.
Yeah,
down
the
in
Bulawayo, the 1 hour and the 3 hour. It's a great race to go up and be involved in if you can get up there. And the nice thing about this year is, of course, the 24 hour doesn't fall on the same weekend. So you've got a chance of going up to do the 1 hour and then come back to do the 24 hour. It's not a bad option.
No, definitely. This is Kieran Snyman on the Honda, very factory-looking Honda, making this is his first ride on a 600, first race on a 600, first time at Red Star, and running there in 6th position. What a ride, all the way from Cape Town. I've heard good things out of the Cape Town guys. A lot of the guys saying to me, this Kieran Snyman, along with Brandon Staffen, are the next best things to come out of Cape Town.
A couple other guys that haven't made it here, unfortunately. I know one of them that really wanted to be here was Hayden Jonas. Couldn't quite get the funding together. So we know that he will be expected at Pekisa Freeway and will certainly be at his home track in Cape Town in a few months' time. So just make sure that you keep your eyes and ears open if you are Cape Town fans on these 3 riders. Alex van den Berg, Kieran Snyman, Hayden Jonas, and a couple of other guys that are down there too that could seriously become threats in their own right. We mentioned the fact that they have got a massive following down in Cape Town, and the likes of the Red Baron fans and Sir Lancelot's fans. And in fact, that was one of the riders we missed out on, was Ron Slamet going down.
Crashed in the Super GP. I saw him, his bike getting wheeled in here, so I have to find out what happened there. This is Byron Bester on his ZX6. getting ready, the high-tech ZX6 getting, this is good practice for him, ready for the British Supersport Series overseas. So that's really all this is about gaining experience, gaining everything of the bike, letting the bike be loose, feeling the bike, and getting himself ready to take on some of the best riders in the world in that British Supersport Championship.
Yeah, that's not a difficult one to do, hey?
Yeah, no. not at all.
If you wanted to go anywhere,
Fenter.
if you wanted to go anywhere in the world to go and race, it's certainly not where you want to start.
No.
Sure, it's a hard one to be involved in. But yeah, nonetheless, we wish him all the very best, and we know he's going to try and fly that flag as high as possible. But right now, it's all about Yamaha at the front. Yamaha in second and Suzuki in third. We haven't seen much of them because they are evenly spread. And there's a good 8 seconds between the top two. Another 22-odd seconds down to third place. Nicole van Aswerken still maintaining that fourth place on the Triumph. And Women in Motorsport teases Triumph, doing an incredible job there for her team. And looking for even potential of getting onto the podium if something goes wrong. Matthew Schultz being closed down once again by another lady rider. Don't worry, Matt, I'm used to that as well, but I know how that feels.
And the other lady rider, Janine Mitchell, up into 9th place. So she'll be happy with that on her return to racing. Remember, took the whole of last year out from racing and back in the Monroe Racing Kawasaki camp. And great to see her at the track. And Nicole van Aswerken, they really have been amazing for the sport. They really have done everything they can to promote lady riders in the sport.
Yeah, well, just think about it. In the very first time of asking under the previous sponsor of SuperGP, we had Janine Mitchell on a podium for the first time in a 1000cc category race. She was in Super M, of course, but it was a lady rider in a 1000cc race that got up onto the podium. And later on in that season and last season, Nicole van Aswerken able to steal the podium away from some of the boys in the 600 category. So both the lady riders have potential to be on the podium. It depends on the day. It depends on what happens at the front end, of course. But all the luck eventually goes the way of the ladies, and that's why it's called Lady Luck. They get a chance of getting up onto the podium.
One man who has got a little bit of lady luck is this man, Blaze Baker. I think had you said to him at the beginning of the weekend, Blaze, you're going to pick up 2 third places, he would have taken that with open arms.
Done.
Because it's good championship points on a bike that literally has that exhaust put on it. That is it. And a fairing kit. So a lot more development to do there, a lot more learning from Blaze Baker. I mean, he's been on a Kawasaki for the past 2 years. Suzuki's been out of racing for the past 3-4 years. So it's still a lot of work to do there. But to come away from the first national with 2 podium finishes, Uncle Andy, I'm trying to see out the window here. I'm trying to see if he's doing a backflip on pit wall.
He'll be doing that, I think, when the checkered flag comes out. So stand by for a potential earthquake here at Red Star Raceway. But yeah, the big man from Uncle Andy's Racing, of course, Andrew Kaiser himself, looking forward to another podium finisher for his riders.
And Suzuki have also got to be happy.
Brilliant.
They've been nowhere.
I caught Stewie Baker's eye at the podium ceremony. You could just see him. He was ecstatic about the fact there's a bike on the podium in their first time of asking. And I think with 2 podiums on the day, it just bodes well for the return of the Big S.
And speaking of Suzuki, they're also running the 4, 8, and 12-hour endurance races here at Red Star.
Correct.
5th of March is the 4-hour, so come along, enter the race. You can do the 4-hour. There's the relay race, so come with 2-3 of your mates, ride on your own bike.
That's the way to go, man.
Then there's the 8-hour and the 12-hour, and then to kick it all off at the end of the year, the 24-hour. So another big year of two-wheeled motorsport racing this year, and I'm so excited for it.
It's the way to go, and it's just getting better and better. I think what MSA have done, what GAS have done, stepping up the game here in joining Northern Regions and the Super GP Champions Trophy into one. Big fields of riders, not only here, but at the other Extreme Festival too. It's getting better and better, and you're going to see crossovers happening, because as soon as the guys see what's happening on our tour, there's going to be more riders coming, and all of a sudden we're not going to be sitting with 110, we're going to be sitting with 200 riders, easily.
Can't wait for that. But I'm watching Adolf Bosov now. He's got a problem on that bike for sure. He's through that the section there. He's doesn't look happy at all, and it's almost a 10-second lead that Odendaal has now. So Bosov's definitely got some kind of problem on that bike. Whether it's something to do with the gears, maybe he's lost a couple of the gears in his gearbox, but not a happy man. If I look at him around the back section there especially, he's just cruising. So we're going to have to, as I say that, what does he do? He gets it completely sideways. I'm
not going to get involved in that conversation.
Yes. Thanks, Adolf.
Right, so 2.5 laps to go, and Adolf Bosov with a 9.555. Is that a go show there? Number on the timing monitor by the looks of things, eh? Anthony Gobert's number 555.
Beautiful.
Right, so it is the Cowboy in second. He's got a massive lead over third place, so nothing to worry about there. There's Janine Mitchell. Great to see a shot of her. Didn't quite get to see much of her in the race, but nice to see her in the mix. And in fact, Janine Mitchell only a couple of seconds off the back end of Dion Nelson, so even looking to go one better than top 10.
That'll be an amazing achievement from the lady rider who's making her return. Borsov comes across the line, just a couple of laps left now for him. Dejan Nelson, a good recovery from Dejan Nelson because he really did run off the track in a big way while he was dicing for a potential podium position. So he won't be too happy with that. The bike in the background there is on the highway. He's not involved in the race there. And the man in the yellow jacket.
I don't know, he could be turning in here. I thought it might have been just the big splat on the top of...
trying to catch the slipstream of Oudendal.
Pooch's helmet there. Right, so he's into the dog bone, coming up on the back end of Janine Mitchell. So it looks like Janine might just be caught by the leader and passed. There is 1.5 laps to go for the leader, so he's got enough time to get past on Janine and possibly even on Dejan Nelson. So that's how we're going to finish things up here with 1.5 laps to go. This is the Super 600s. Not quite as super as the first race because, we had a great dice in the first race. But needless to say, this is how you get championships sorted out. You've got to go out there, you've got to do the damage, and you've got to get the points in the bag.
It looks effortless, but let me tell you what Steven Oudendal has done in this race is nothing short of spectacular.
Superhuman.
He has dominated this race, and maybe he just needed that kick in the teeth that he got in race 1 from Borsov. Maybe he was a little bit too confident, thought, I'll make the pass that I did, and didn't expect Borsov to come back. And it's really given him a wake-up call because in this race, we've seen a different Steven Oudendal for me. He has completely dominated. I watch his riding position and the way he's riding that bike. He is so confident in this race, and he was out to just do nothing but win. Nothing but the victory was going to do for Oudendal in this race.
100% right as he comes into second last and last corners right now. And closing in on the Monroe Kawasaki of Janine Mitchell. So I think Janine might just be caught on the final lap. They are very, very close to the finish line now. There you can see Dejan Nelson crosses the line. Here comes Janine Mitchell in the background is Pooch. So the number 1 bike with 1 lap to go.
Yeah, I remember Oudendal running out of his own camp this year. He's not in a full factory team. He's Yamaha supported. Yamaha have given him the bike with the number 1 plate and said, go do it again for us. But not in the full factory team that he has been accustomed to the last couple of years. Running out of his own camp. I saw Trevor Crooks here helping him again. Yes. So we know how good that setup is when they're together. Many race wins and championships because of that, for sure. Nice to see that. Janine Mitchell looked back, realized the faster bike was coming. I think the blue flags were waving earlier just to give her an indication. And not a bad option to sit behind the 3-time champion or possible 3-time champion and watch a couple of lines, considering she's been out for a year. Might learn a few things to go into corners at slightly different angles, etc. Pooch will certainly show you the right way to get around this track. For at least 3 corners. Yeah. I promise you, even if you're about 10 bike lengths back on occasions where I've been behind you through the dog bone, I've learned a huge amount just watching where you tip it in and where you're braking. So even if you are that 10 bike lengths back or so, you're still going to learn a hell of a lot. I can tell you that. This Red Star racetrack is one of the hardest tracks to learn. I know a lot of guys that get so frustrated with riding here because it really, that back section. I've helped guys here before where I've literally found them 5 seconds just in that back section alone. It really is a tough track. A track that Steven Oudendal did not like the first time he came to. He really battled the first time we came national racing here when Cam Peterson and them were here. Correct. But now you look at Oudendal now, he's really the man to beat around here. So it's a track that really does test every part of your skill, fitness, everything that to do with motorcycle racing. Red Star Raceway will test. We've got 3 corners to go for Pooch. I don't think he's going to put a wheel wrong right now. He's not going to catch Dejan Nelson. Nelson will still have to do a whole nother lap. But it's a great effort from the Petra Racing and Mitsubishi air conditioning machine. And that Yamaha was on song here. And it had to be because stand up wheelie. Steven Oudendal has certainly pushed that bike to its limit and over it. He tried the stand up. I think he's a bit tired to hang it on there. But comes through, takes the victory. Takes the checkered flag just ahead of Janine Mitchell, who he overtook on the last lap. Second place is going to go to number 3. And yes, indeed, the Cowboy came through there. It wasn't such a big gap in the end, only 11 seconds, but that's way, way bigger than what we saw in the first race. Here is the 3rd place man, Blaze Baker, as he makes his way through on the last, coming to the second last corner, I should say. And Uncle Andy's Racing Suzuki team are going to be ecstatic about a double podium for the Suzuki. Can we see them? Can we see Uncle Andy? Stand by, we can see him just out there. We can see him. Stewie Baker and Uncle Andy about to go ballistic on the wall and very happy with the performance so far. Give us a handstand. Come on, Andy, make the world rock. Give us a handstand. There you go. There we go. Well done, Blaze Baker. Really great ride. Like I said, all the way from KZN, one of our young superstars on the up and up. So great things there from Blaise Baker and that Suzuki team. Look out for more as we go later on in the season. Nicole van Asbjerg, and here she comes. The lady rider on the Triumph will pick up that 4th position. A good day at the office for Nicole and the Triumph. She should really be happy with that. Byron Bester, I think, will be up next on the high-tech Kawasaki. Yeah, there he is, bike number 12, last year's 250 Cup champion. Again, a good day at the office. Yeah, happy with that. Just to bring the bike home in 5th place. That's a great result there. And Kuan Snyman all the way from Cape Town. What an amazing ride for the young man. Into 6th position. First time out in a national championship. First time out on a 600. First time out at Red Star Raceway. So him and his team can really make the long drive home with a big smile on their face. That's Cameron Aitken going on the inside of Schultz to the line that was lapping his fellow Monroe Racing stablemate. Alex van der Berg also all the way from Cape Town. Great ride from him. He'll pick up 8th place. Dion Nelson recovered well to pick up 9th place. And we saw Janine Mitchell already being lapped, and she's going to pick up 10th position. We're going to go into some highlights now of race 2 of the Super 600 Championship, which was dominated by that man on the Yamaha, Stephen Windal, proving why he's got that number 1 plate, showing that he is the man to beat. The lights went out, and it was never anyone else that was going to get the whole shot other than Stephen Windal. Adolf Boshoff, a good start. Darren Herrera up into 3rd place again with Blaise Baker in 4th. But Baker would use the speed of the Suzuki down the back straight to get up into 3rd place. And there was a big move from Dion Nelson on the inside of Cam Aitken. But unfortunately, running wide at the very next turn, pretty much ending his race. Bike number 89, Darian Kaiser on the Suzuki, was challenging for the podium. Unfortunately, just crashing out at the beginning of the race. Darren Loureiro in a big battle for the final podium position. More problems on his bike, forcing him out of the race. Stephen Windal's stand-up wheelie as it comes across the line. A dominant performance by the 2-time South African champion, just ahead of that man Adolf Boshoff, both picking up a race win each for the day and for their Yamaha teams. So Greg's gone down to the paddock, to the podium, to speak to the riders. Adolf Boshoff not looking too happy with that performance. He knows he wants to win races. He wants this championship more than anyone else.
Rob,
very experienced father there.
Pooch is in the house, Rob.
Stephen Windal, a very happy Stephen Windal, comes into pit lane. Yeah, that's a big smile he's got on his face after race number 1. He wasn't happy after race number 1, but this race completely dominated it. And a very happy man as he gets ready to head off to Spain for some more Moto2 racing action.
As you said, looks like a much happier man, Rob, no doubt about it. But I think all 3 of these guys, other than the fact that I think maybe there was an issue on the near-life bike, but we'll get to find that out from Adolf Boshoff in the very near future. As they come in here, it's a valiant effort once again to see a double podium for Suzuki on their return. And 2 more Yamahas back up where they ended off last season. So I think this is going to be where Kawasaki have moved away, Suzuki have slotted in. Although we are going to see a few more. Oh, hello. That wasn't me. That was just all on its own. Premature e-calculation. Yeah, it wasn't anything more to do about that one. But here we go. It's podium time. Let's get them up on the podium. In 3rd place, ladies and gents, for Uncle Andy's Racing and Suzuki South Africa, all the way from KwaZulu-Natal, Blaise Baker. Second place and flipping out the top of the podium this time out for Neolife Racing Yamaha. It's the cowboy, Adolf Boshoff. And as I said, it was a flip out on the top of the podium there, but Pooch is going to be happy about it. There's no doubt about that. Let's get him up there. Stephen Udendal, race 2 winner. 3rd place trophy going to be handed out by Mr. Tim Cook. He's going to hand that to Blaise Baker. In 2nd place, that's going to be handed by Mr. Stephen Watson. That's going to go to Adolf Boshoff. And Motorsport South Africa Motorcycle Commission Chairman Dick Shuttle going to hand over to Pooch for race 2's victory. Okay, I'm going to get out the way here because they're about to make some champagne mess. I'm going to stand behind Uncle Andy. That's not a bad option. Should keep us pretty safe, eh? Don't spray too much, guys. Come on. We've got work to do here. Thanks, Andy. Much appreciated. I'm going to get your rider first and foremost. Blaise, once you got the celebrations done and dusted, come and join me here. Danny, my cameraman, are you going to come join us for a quick interview? Danielson's probably worked the hardest in all of the cameramen today, other than what Blaze Baker was able to do. So, Blazy, I'm sure that is probably the best tasting and smelling champagne you've had in a long time.
Yeah, I know, definitely. Coming onto the new team and having a double podium or first time is absolutely incredible. Not what I expected at all, but you know, got to take my hat off to Uncle Andy, the team, Suzuki, everyone who's helped me. My father especially had a hip replacement about a week and a half ago, and he's here with me. So big shout out to him, and just thank you to all my team.
Great effort. Now we head to Pakisa Freeway. It's a track that's been good to you in the past. A little bit more development time going to be happening in between, I'm sure. And if this bike can get up to the kind of pace that we're going to see battles royal between Suzuki and Yamaha.
Yeah, I know for sure. We still got a long way to go to catch up to Yamaha, the two Yamahas in the front, and definitely a lot more development, which we will be doing definitely to be up with them for Pakisa.
We'll see you there. Good job. Well done. Cowboy, do take us through those last couple of laps. Looks like a bit of cramp coming in there. We're not quite sure. We saw you were battling a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I had a few cramps, but credit to Steven. Your roadies also off, and just like to thank Neo Life for giving me the energy, and Yamaha for coming out and supporting and giving us bikes, and Portable Shade. Without this, it wouldn't be possible. Thanks, guys.
Awesome job. Looking forward to heading to the next round now. Of course, it's even Steven between you and Steven. No pun intended there, but I think it's going to be a tight battle between the two of you, unless the Suzukis can find the pace.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of Steven's good tracks, Pakisa. So there's a lot of testing to be done. Hopefully I get a win there again, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Good job today. Well done, and congratulations. Pooch, come on in, you big guy. It's exactly what you wanted to happen, and you've just heard from your arch rival there and stablemate as opposed to teammate. Pakisa has always been good to you, and we're looking forward to seeing what this machine can do at the freeway.
Yeah, I know. We've done a few tests around there, so we know the Yamaha is good around there. But, you know, competition's always great, and Dolph rode really well today. Just want to say thanks to everyone who's behind me and helped me get on the #1 spot, you know. It's not easy being a privateer, especially coming from such a nice team like Brad and Assos, but we're making it work, so I think it's good for us.
There's no doubt about you making it work. You worked hard out there. Tell us about those 6 or 7 laps that were like back-to-back 55, low 55s.
Yeah, no, it was a difficult race, but our strategy worked out. Obviously, we wanted a double header, but unfortunately it didn't, so I'm happy with the win, and thanks very much to everyone that supported me.
The SuperGP Champions Trophy is proudly brought to you by Diode and their associate sponsors.